Hey everyone.
Hello.
Speak.
Sure.
It's been a week already. Oh my god. A week.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
gonna start off with introducing everybody. So starting with our lovely lady on the panel, Tabitha Robinson Scott.
Mm.
Hey, hey.
I was like Stephen Moskow
Yeah. Here I am.
and Damian Michael Williams.
Yeah.
I am
Boom,
Kansas City. Thank you guys for joining us. I said this has been a really crazy week. Congratulations to the LA Lakers.
Yeah.
For the final. Shout out to LeBron, King LeBron James,
Yes.
for his fourth win.
Mm. Do it, bro. Do it.
Really, really fantastic in that factor. But we're gonna get into a whole lot of
Yeah.
today. But we're gonna kick it off like we always do. Little mental health check-in. Damian, it's all on you.
Hey, my beautiful people. What's going on? Hey, we're still here. With all the calamity that's going on the outside, we are still here. I'll start with the lady of the house, Miss Tabitha. How art thou today?
I'm doing okay. We're entering a Mercury retrograde until election day, which is a little strange.
Which is
Right.
so funny.
Yeah, you could call it that.
Yeah. So it's just, again, just taking it day by day and trying to make sure I take care of myself and those that are close to me and trying to send positive energy out in the world.
Right. Can't lose with that.
Yeah, that's all. And, alcohol helps.
It really does. Yeah. Cheers to that. Here. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Had to cool my throat. Okay, now. Sip. Taste. Right. Thank you so much, Queen Tabitha. So, my brother from another mother, Steven, what's going on, pal? What it do?
Well, it's been weird. It's like, honestly, seeing the schedule for today's show and that the VP debate is a part of it, I'm like, wow, I don't know how I'm doing this week because this week has been way longer than I remember it being. Like, oh
Yeah.
my God.
Literally.
Yeah, but I had some fun over the weekend. I made up a button-down shirt.
Come on here, CEO, Fortune 500.
If I'm, lining up the things to be positive about, that's one of them. Those are, some of them. And then
I like that.
And then things come along, like I get a text from a family member of like, well, look at this tweet. And it's like from, yes, it's doctored footage from some account called Trump War Room, text 8022. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, what? And then I respond and they're like, why do you always get annoyed? Why do you always jump on me when I send you something? I'm like, well, you sent me something called Trump from like the Trump War Room. It's already aggressive.
Like, basically, yeah, they kind of started off that way. I don't know.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
What gives it away? I don't know.
It wasn't CNN. It wasn't the news. It was
right.
It was already fighting.
That part.
But it is what it is.
Yeah,
we're living, like you said. We're still
still here. So, and I'm glad you said something. Tell me one positive thing about yourself, Stephen.
Oh, are you talking about these 3 words that we were assigned?
Not only just that, but also just right off the top of your head, something positive about you. I'll get to the homework.
I wish you had given me time to think about it.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what? I'm quite the seamster. Okay,
hey,
I made a collar.
That's what I'm talking about.
I made cuffs. I'm good at acquiring new skills. Handle that.
Get into that. How you doing? I'll take a sip right with your ginger ale. I have.
I trace this, make a cuff out of it. Look at that.
I mean, just dynamic and everything he does. Oh, I tell you, there's just no end to your greatness, sir. So Tabitha,
Right.
back to you. A positive thing about yourself. Give a word or a phrase.
I would say creativity. I mean, that's the one thing
Awesome.
that I've have ebbs and flows of, but I've been able to tap into recently and funnel it in a bunch of different ways that have saved me, that have protected me, that have given me great ideas. So I always fall back on that.
Right. That's awesome. Awesome. Indeed. I have to agree with that because to us, you are a fireball of greatness. I promise you, you just keep coming with it. So keep rocking, sister.
Thank you.
Indeed. You're forever worth it and welcome. So, of course, CEO, Fortune 500, the captain of the ship, Mr. Dre. What it do, bro?
Oh my goodness. It do. When I tell you, it do so it do. I wish it don't. That's how much it do.
Hey,
So
listen, one more again, just for you, right here.
oh my god. So
Speak is up.
my week has been
Yes, indeed.
I feel like it's the boyfriends of past have showed up to haunt this week, which is
Oh, it is October. I mean, I'm just
well,
saying.
yeah. So
Season.
I was like, I
Creepy
thought that was
crawlers. Oh,
bizarre, you know,
Right.
that it was that like, what? Why are you calling me? Like, you know, type thing. Then my ongoing battle saga with New York dentistry and getting this situation fixed. So I'm not running around looking like a grown up snaggletooth, which is really getting crazy. And like dealing with that. So it's been strange, like up and down roller coaster.
Dre, you reminded me of something because right when you said a few moments ago how people come back and revisit, a lot of us don't realize that life lessons regurgitate back to make sure you learned the lesson.
True. Oh, those are lessons I learned. We won't
Right,
do
right.
that.
And we, yeah, right.
No,
You
no,
ace
no.
that.
No, we don't believe in that. Like
Right. Trust.
I've
And
always been a believer in learning from other people's mistakes.
right.
Really.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Um,
I view. Right.
as
Look and learn.
well,
Look at her.
I come from the Tabitha world, and
Mm-hmm.
I learned choreography in a mirror, and so I'm seeing somebody else do it, and so the thing that you did wrong, I know now not to do, because not only did I see you do it, but I saw a reflection of what happens when you do it. So I'm good.
Right. The
And
repercussions. Right.
I've consistently always lived my life in that space, so I've not been like one to be like, well, let's just jump both feet in and not know. And not, no, that is not me. It's never been me. So, but it was a great moment to get an opportunity to embrace my growth
Mm-hmm.
that I think oftentimes we take for granted when we go through something because we go through it and it's over. We're glad it's over and we don't really revisit it. We don't really um, look at the tools to take along with us. It's just kind of like, that's done. I'm out. And you're on to the next. So that was kind of good in
Okay.
the sense of like being able to be like, wow, I remember 20 years ago, whew, I was a mess. Like this was not good. Like I mean, where I would have
That
fell for all
self-evaluation is something else.
right.
I
I'd have
promise you.
fell for all of this old good sweet talking and you so fine and damn you looking good. I'd have fell for all of this 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm like,
Like child. Right. Like thanks, boo. Carry on. Mm-hmm.
doesn't pay a bill, boo. Doesn't pay a bill. So I'm out. So like, but I guess if I had to say a positive word about myself for
Yes.
this week, it would be resilience.
Mm. Can you say that word again? Make sure they heard you.
Resilience.
Boom.
That would be my word.
I like that. I like that. I
because
like that a lot.
no matter everything that's going on,
Mm-hmm.
5 minutes before the show started, you know, the internet decided to crack crazy, the whole nine, whatever.
Hey,
But it's,
all in the day's work.
I
Yeah.
am Tony Childs. I specialize in results. Like, so it's
How you
like
doing?
one of those. So resilience is like, I guess, my mantra
Mm-hmm.
already anyway.
Right.
Like, sometimes you, as Tim Gunn would say, make it work. Like, so this is just your make it work moment.
Yeah. Capture the moment
2020
and make
has
it work.
felt like the make it work saga. And now that we're in retrograde up until the election is even funnier in a way. Like,
I see that.
I think it's fun, but only because I think it's the weirdest thing in the sense of, at the end of every retrograde, there's supposed to be this rebirth of brand new. It's almost like it's supposed to represent the wiping of the slate. And so I am hoping that the universe, Black Jesus,
Hey,
whoever you decide to believe in,
hallelujah.
is all on our side when
Yes,
I say,
Let me get my fan.
as they say, I'm speaking.
Right. Yes, ma'am.
I'm
Yes,
speaking.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
That it's time for the world to turn around.
Yeah.
I think that's where
She said that she's
where
a
we are.
bad mama jama because she was so smooth with it.
Mhm.
So Damien,
Love it.
how
Yeah.
are you? Our resident guru. You make us feel so amazing. How are you doing?
Hey, every word that I give all of you, not only all of you, my host family, but also our viewers, comes from my heart, comes from my being. These are things I've been through, that I've met, that I've confronted. I've made myself accountable to confront. But, with all of the things, and me, anybody that's just a spiritual being on a general basis, they know. A lot of times we feel the weight of the world because we feel and hear everything, especially those who remain in that place of atonement. Mostly meditation and prayer, but I mean, along with a life, style with it. But I feel a lot of things, and sometimes I just want to turn off.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like somebody flipped the switch, please. Let me get my cocktail, my Douce and my blunt, and I'm cool. But I realized today I have my meditation music going on because, of course, I want to zone in before the show starts. I had my shade open to a certain degree, but today in particular, the rays of the sun just shined in my room so differently but vibrant.
Mm.
And with all the things that are on my mind, because especially with, question marks coming from every which way, and I don't even have to go there because I know y'all know. But the way it came in today, and I heard there is hope. So just the mere fact that we're still here, we're present, let alone the mighty and great and wonderful things that we're all doing. I mean, we have a seamster, we have dynamic Professor Tabitha, Dr. Tabitha, right. And, it just, with all those things, we have hope. If you can still smile, there is hope. To all of our viewers, there is hope. Do not let go. It's imperative that you hold on. Because each time that you inhale and exhale, you're that much closer to your breakthrough, your miracle, your blessings, or whatever, God and life and universe has set for you. It would be crazy for you to let go. So we want to encourage you. It's not worth it letting go, because you're priceless, and it's far worth it for you to hold on and hang in there, because you have everything. You have the vigor, you have the tenacity, you have the wherewithal to not only hold on, but to conquer right where you are and for your future. So today, with all that's going on and all the many things that I feel, because I won't go into detail. That'll take up a show. So I just want to tell everybody there's hope. So yeah, be encouraged. And also to our viewers, to those of you who feel that you're dealing with some things that you can't seem to grasp. And some of you are getting to the point to where you think suicide is the only relief. But I'm here to tell you it's not so. There are people waiting for you to talk to you. You can go online to NAMI.org. That's NAMI.org. You can look up any type of psychiatrist or therapist or however, whatever your needs are. Reach out because they're waiting for you. You're not alone.
Wow. Okay. I'm a little clip right now. Are you? I was like past the collection plate at this point. Reverend.
Right.
I was
Put
like,
the money in the pan and praise the Lord.
Right.
Oh.
So, but in some hallelujah news.
Right.
Oh my God. Kamala Harris.
Yes.
When I say
Kamala. Yes, Lord.
When I tell you that was an education in HBCU debating that Mike Pence was not prepared for, like, so not prepared for, just did not understand the looks, the side eyes, the I'm speaking, but no, Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
For Joy Behar to have on a whole sweatshirt that said I'm speaking on Tuesday, bless my soul.
Mine's in the mail.
Yeah, my t-shirt is on the way. When I tell you, it was
awesome.
It was the gift that kept giving.
Literally.
Then on top of everything, the fly.
Right.
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 It was the gift that just kept giving.
Right.
For 2 minutes.
For 2
right.
Whole minute.
Like it was answering a question.
Right.
Oh my God.
I got something to say. Come on. Yeah. Where's the mic?
I was waiting for the fly to say, thank you, Susan. And it just
oh my God.
I was waiting on it. It was like she wiped the floor with him in such a manner. I was a little upset that she fell for the bait. But her recovery from falling from the bait was so brilliant.
Yes.
And I think she's given the best answer so far about stacking the courts. When she turned it around on him and their administration, on them stacking the courts and not one person being a person of color.
Right.
Like it was the ultimate mic drop. I'm being, this fierce of a Black woman as you are, Tabitha. How proud were you? I'm sure you had an oh hallelujah moment.
Well, I feel like as a Black woman watching it, there was a narrative that I understood that may not have gotten to everyone, because every look, every side eye, I can tell you my kids were texting me going, I've seen that face before.
Mine too.
I know exactly what that face is. Oh, he's in trouble. She about to, So those, I was extremely proud. I thought that Senator Harris was the ultimate example of what we experience in life, where we have to tote the line between not being called the angry Black woman, but also being articulate, but also not being too emotional, but being aggressive. Like, she found the perfect line and presented herself in such a way that was just so relevant and so important and beautiful and hilarious.
And presidential.
And she
Mhm.
threw
Very much
shade
so.
in the most presidential way I think I've ever seen anybody throw shade.
Yeah.
I thought Hills pulled it off a couple of times, but Senator Harris did it from beginning to end through all of his lies. 72 and they're still counting. And
Right.
even when the fly landed on that white crest of hair, she looked at it and kept going.
Going. Right.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Word.
She literally was like,
Literally.
I'm going to let it happen. I'm going to let it happen.
Right.
Because, you know,
Yep.
I'm gonna let it fly.
we know where flies gravitate towards.
Mhm.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
let me just throw in the fact that today during the confirmation hearings, I don't know if it's the same fly, I don't know if it's the family, I don't know if it's a distant cousin, but another fly
Showed up. Yes. I saw that.
showed up.
Yes.
I don't know if it's a sign.
Hey, omen. Yeah, something.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's an important message
I'm
going
feeling
on.
like it's the
Yeah.
second plague.
Yeah.
COVID got here. Now it's gonna be flies.
But you know, afterwards
Hey.
I saw that future President Biden, I'm gonna just throw it out
Yes.
there in the universe.
We
Let's
received
just talk
that.
about it.
Woo!
Yeah.
That felt so good to say.
Yeah.
Yes.
I saw that his campaign received over $3 million during the course of that 90 minutes.
Yes.
I saw that they are continuing to raise money. But I also saw that there's about 34% of the population that say they're still undecided.
Yes.
So my question to you guys would be, after seeing that debate, what would you say to someone who is still undecided about the vice presidential debate? What would you tell them about the debate that would convince them to vote properly?
To be honest, there's nothing from that debate that I think moved the needle.
Hmm.
And the only reason I say that is because I think it went back to the Obama's second debate
Mm.
where he like wiped the floor and the whole nine, whatever, and there was this expectation of who we know as Black people to be to show up. That was such the distraction to even the issues. Biden didn't really get to have a real debate. And so Kamala, now being a woman, then having to stand firm on issue, and then also in pretty much in fear of her record being kind of dragged through the mud. I don't think this is a good space to tell that 34% like, well, you should vote for her vote for them because of this.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of, so Trump lied and was horrible and was a baby, and you are the reason he's this way because you're the pandering adult that's allowing the child to have the tantrum in the grocery store and disrupting everybody. Like, it was that. And I think the 34% doesn't really want to be schooled on. I think we're back in the conversation of, do we want a parent or a child running the country? Which I think that 34% takes as insulting, because it's like we went there last time with Donald and Hillary, and look where we are. So I think this is a little.
I also think they don't care about policy, right? Like, they can't care about policy because they're so oppositional that if you own shares in pharmaceutical companies or, you know, various middlemen that want to profiteer off of the elimination of the Affordable Care Act, you're already voting for Trump. If you want to make sure that tens of millions of people don't lose their health insurance in the middle of a pandemic, you're already voting for Biden. I think personally that, you know, the court packing thing, yeah, it's an issue. I also think, yeah, I definitely think she said it best. I mean, Biden really just skirted it. They should also say that, like, it's a Senate thing. I think if they were to say that,
Congress
like,
thing, yeah.
if they were to say, like, our institutions have been assaulted by this administration, so I, as the president, am not going to try to overstep in terms of determining what the Senate will do. I think that's a way out. But I felt like I have been told twice now that they're more conservative with regards to the environment than I think many people would want them to be. I think that taking the line on fracking that she took, you know, it may have made the RuPauls of the world happy, but, like, I don't own a natural gas field. I'm ready for fracking to be done, you know. So I don't think it won that. I honestly, at this point, Tabitha, I couldn't tell you what the hell would make someone a decided voter.
Yeah.
I don't. I have
I
no.
don't either.
I mean, I have to say it even right on what both Dre and Steven said, you know, because beside telling someone who's in that position of not voting or voting otherwise, besides telling them to look at your neighborhood, look at the world we're in, you know, we are wearing masks. We've lost more of our identity because we're already just numbers to them anyway. You know, and white folks getting bolder. You know, we got more Karens and racists and killers, you know, black folk killers than we need right now. You know, and they're not just killing black folk. So, you know, besides showing them all of those things, it's like, how could I convince you? I mean, you see the realities of the world. Are you brainwashed like the Trump lovers, or what is it? Because to me, it's nothing but brainwashing. It's just totally, because none of it makes sense. Even to our fellow enemies, even the people that don't agree with us, it doesn't make sense to them. You know, so it just, that's why we're seeing so more and more as the weeks go by, as the days go by, far right Republicans, starch Republicans are now voting Democrat. Boldly. We can't hear you, Dre.
I said they're seeing now. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So according to 4 polls that have went out, one was on MSNBC, one was on CNN, one was on Google, and the other one was Politico, said that 30% of seated Republicans that are up for re-election have now turned their talking points against the president for COVID, and saying that they are not behind this new judicial seating because they want to keep their job. They're so, like Joy said it best, they're so afraid of losing their job. And really, losing their job is a bigger deal than us losing our job. For them, losing their job is sheer just power. The power that they hold and they exceed is crazy. And like the exercise of that power, Mitch McConnell this week exercised that in a debate where he just laughed when they talked about COVID, and that he has drawn such a hard line about financing that bill, that there's no way for him to turn it around because we now live in digital age where it's like, remember when you said this on Fox? Remember when you said this on NBC? Remember when you said this on, on C-SPAN? Like, here's now your videotapes. You can't walk them back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh my God, well, I feel bad for his opponent because she should be doing better in the polls in Kentucky. But I also understand why she's not doing well in Kentucky, because she doesn't really speak to the average Kentuckian. She speaks to the average American.
Hmm.
And I think if she actually spoke to her real constituents that were in Kentucky, it would be a very different storyline. I think she would have the same success Jamie is having in South Carolina, because it's not about global politics. It's about, this is what's happening in our state and you're doing nothing about this. You had them drag on this Breonna Taylor thing for this long. You did not get involved. My thing is, you don't really care about the people more than you care about your power. If she went that route, I think she would be doing better.
Mm-hmm.
But she's been attacking him on a high political stance as being the chair.
Basically courting votes that she can't get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
So it makes it, and they don't want to hear that. Like, no constituent wants to hear about Washington. They really want to hear, what have you done? What are you planning to do to help us get out of this mess we're in? Because what Orangina has done has thrown all the responsibilities to the individual states, so that the government, which he does in his own business. I'm not taking any responsibility for anything. I'm going to go to your room and you deal with it. And so all the governors have had to go back to their states and deal with their state. And it's like, how are you fighting for us?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
How are you making it better for us?
Right.
They don't care about.
Do you feel like Charles Booker would have had a better chance than Amy McGrath?
Definitely.
Yeah, I think so.
But where Charles Booker was never going to do well in Kentucky is because Charles Booker is a not just Black Lives Matter. He is a Black activist in general. He is he is hated because a lot of his thought process is trying to create communities within Kentucky that were reminiscent of Tulsa, where it's like he wants to create these Black monoliths of wealth throughout Kentucky, because they can do that. Then if those monoliths come together, then they can take over. And that's not really a plan for everyone when 78% of Kentucky is Asian. So he's not really a man for all people. He's definitely a man for Black people. And Black
part of me,
identified.
I just wonder, in terms of Tabitha, what I think, when you were asked about what would sway the undecided voters, I think what tends to leave them behind really is the feeling of a real choice. I feel like so much of Biden was the electable candidate that swayable Republicans might vote for. Amy McGrath built this whole platform about how she would work with Trump and all this stuff. So it's if you were a voter looking for a real alternative choice,
right,
the person who gets elevated the most tends to get pushed so far towards electability that an undecided voter ends up feeling like I'm not making a real choice between these two candidates.
Right.
Yeah, but I feel like people forget that when you vote, it's not a love letter to Biden.
Yes,
You
agreed.
know, I think people get really passionate. I mean, it was a discussion I had with my son after the first debate. He kept saying that, you know, he didn't really like either candidate. And I said, it's not about, you don't have to date him.
Right. And get
Right.
married.
Right. Literally.
You're
Yeah.
never going to
That
hang out
part.
with him. So that, I don't understand why you feel like you need to have this love affair with the person. It's about who is better qualified to protect the rights and liberties of the people of this nation, of all people of this nation,
Mhm.
and to
That part.
undo some of the systemic racism and systemic problems that are consistent in our country. And he kept throwing out these like random facts and random thoughts. And I was like, that doesn't even affect you. That has nothing to do with you.
Mhm.
Why are you voting for, I'm sorry, I went up a whole octave. Why are you
That's that mommy in you. Like, what?
Right. It went. Yeah.
I had to bring it back down.
Right.
But you know, it's you have to redirect people's thinking, I think,
True.
to remind them what is at stake right now. The things
Mhm.
that you're talking about couldn't be changed in one term or even 2 terms or even 3 terms. These are things that have longevity, that have been around for hundreds of years. They're not going to be undone, you know, in February, you know, as
Right.
soon as this
Right.
person gets in office. So it's such an interesting thing. And I think a lot of young people get hung up on that one thing that the candidate doesn't agree with. And then they hunker down, and it has nothing to do with what's going on right now.
Wow.
And you know, it's funny because I was talking to one of my students, and she said her older brother was going to vote for Trump because, you know, he's making all this money. He has an app that he's making money off of. And I said, yeah, but he's 25 and he lives at home under his parents' insurance thanks to Obamacare.
That will go away.
That will
Right.
disappear.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he has a pre-existing condition. So it's like some people, they get caught up in the little gems, but they never really focus on what's on the ground.
Right.
And they lose track and they lose traction. So I think the one thing that I would say to people who are undecided is, first, read facts.
Yeah.
Facts first. And second, really think about what is tangible for our nation in the immediate future, because people's lives literally are at stake at this point.
Keyword tangible.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And focus on that, and then we can focus on the big things. Because
Right.
when it's just like with racism, when people say change racism, it's like, okay, we'll do that tomorrow. It doesn't work that way.
Mhm.
Right.
Right.
It doesn't.
Like,
At all.
let me go to the store and pick up some anti-racism, and then we'll be like, it doesn't work.
Right.
Pick up a pound or two.
And-
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Sprinkle
And anyone who
it
says
on.
it can, you should be skeptical of that person.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
Oh my God.
no.
So this is the best segue into our next segment, anti-racism.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
this weekend, SNL,
Yes.
of course.
Yeah.
So Bill Burr
Mm-hmm.
probably will surprise a lot of you. One of my favorite comedians.
Oh, it's not surprising. Black people love Bill Burr.
And,
People-
and but this is why I love,
Like-
but this is why I love Bill Burr. Bill Burr, and I don't know if it's just the cadence of how he talks, and sometimes it's about what he talks about,
Mm-hmm.
but he is the, like, I grew up with All in the Family. He is what I wanted Archie Bunker to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see you.
Okay.
I see
He
you.
has Archie Bunker
I see you.
cadence,
Right.
drive,
Yep.
love, family, the whole nine,
Right.
except
Really does.
he's just anti-racist. And
Yeah.
and so it was just
Love
kind
it.
of like, and speaks out about the things that are uncomfortable for white people to deal
And
with.
I appreciate him for it.
And
Yeah.
I love him. And now, what I was surprised about was that his wife, Nene, was a black woman.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like I had no idea about that because I didn't really know outside of just seeing his stand up. I've gone to see him do stand up here in New York City. He's hilarious, like funny, but he's getting a whole lot of flack for this monologue, which I understand because when he
It's a
did that
lot.
roundhouse kick
Hey, I was like,
Right.
he didn't
of
lie or
white
anything,
women with
did he?
Gucci with their Gucci boots across the
Right.
face into the front of the line.
Mm,
And their SUVs with the warm seats, talking about some you don't understand what I go through. That it was everything. But the
Right.
best part was when he stopped, he was like, "Where's the camera? How dare you?" Like it was
Yeah.
brilliant
Everything.
when he pointed at the one white woman.
He's like, you did it.
He
Yeah.
said, "You did it." He was like, he said, "You slept with a black man." He was like, "You went play a black man." He was like, and then you said when you got caught, you said it wasn't consensual. You did it. You did it.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
You're
what you
right.
did.
But-
Yeah.
brilliant. The LGBT thing, I thought was, as a person of color, thought was spot on. And the reason is because being part of the LGBTQI plus community, the only time they remember Black people are part of it is when they need to get elected or they need to they need funding to make a new drug. All of a sudden,
Mm.
us
Mhm.
brown people get to show up and get to be on your side and be
Mhm.
proud and happy. But outside of that, you know,
Right.
Have mercy.
we're not supported
Right.
or embraced as people of color. And I see it more in New York City than I think probably anywhere where as gay community, New York City does not have anything that is all inclusive, where everything is diversified. And all the clubs are either white and white owned, or they're Latina X, where they're Hispanic, but they're full Hispanic and Hispanic identifying as Caucasian. So, like if you're Black or Afro identifying, you're left out all of the time.
Mm.
And so I wasn't mad at what he said.
Mm.
Yes, maybe. And I was more like, well, why don't we just switch? Like, give LGBTQ February. Because the gays will party any time of the year. We don't care. We got winter party, we got white party. Like, we'll do it up. Black people don't really like the cold like that. Give us June. We already got Juneteenth.
Right.
Right.
Literally.
Maybe if they gave us June, we can give a better support of Black fathers showing up for their kids because Father's Day wasn't that month too. I mean, maybe they can do a service because they think that all Black dads don't show up for their kids or are deadbeat. Like I'm going, let's change the narrative, or go on and give us July too. I'm for 61 days of celebration.
Do it in July, so July 4th
with
is a part of Black History Month. Like Central, fucking take it all.
I'm here for it.
Yeah. I thought to me where he always gets unfunny, and I don't like. It's not like, oh, I'm offended, but I just think it's not as funny. Is like whenever he like rails on cancel culture, it's like, dude, you're not. No one is gonna cancel you because you know where there's room for jokes, and you know what's not a joke. There's a reason he said that it wasn't consensual, that the woman said it wasn't consensual, and not that it was rape. Because he knew that wouldn't play as well. Like he understands craft. He's not going to get canceled. And so anytime, to me, it's also like, I feel like that was sort of a pre-2020 thing, worrying about getting canceled. I think everyone's worried about other kinds of death now. That like, it's just not as funny, you know. And so like, I definitely didn't think it was like offensive. I just thought certain periods weren't as funny as others. Like, I love Bill Burr.
I'm a fan.
Yeah.
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 Same here. He was because I mean that entire act, he was on point.
Yeah.
Each point, he was on point. So it's like, where is the lie?
Mm-hmm.
Can't
Which
find
made
that
it
damn
funnier.
point. Right.
Because I enjoy white people calling out white people.
Oh yeah, I live for it. I'm like, yeah.
Clutching their pearls.
Right. Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Like I feel like I
That
want
part.
to. Like, I think I want to start something. I think I want to call it. I want to call it Klobucharing.
Klobucharing. Woo! Amy's been busy this week.
Yes, Amy has been shutting
Yeah.
it down.
She called it a sham.
A sham. Live for her. Like my thing
Yeah.
is,
And
I'm
just
like,
the
but
magnitude.
Yes, she did. She like, this is a sham.
Right.
I
The
think
I was
DNC
like,
has given her C-SPAN. They've given Pete Fox News. Like, he shows up there, she shows up on C-SPAN.
yeah, I'm here for it. Like I feel like we need to start calling. Like I feel like the white people getting called out needs to be called. Like it needs to have a name.
Mhm.
And I feel like we should like start calling it like I think we should start having a segment called the Klobuchar. Like
Klobuchar.
just because her name is close to collaborating. It's real close.
Okay.
I tell you.
Barring, like,
When we
burning
talked
it,
about her
Char Grill,
before.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know?
We talked about. I said Amy Klobuchar.
Right.
I just love how it rings right there. You
Right.
know?
And
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't trust as far as I can throw her. I don't.
Hey, truth be true, but yeah.
But I have been lately living for her. I don't trust her. I do not think she is for the people for real. But I do think she is very much for the suburban white mom.
She has some
In
humanity
every-
there. Yeah.
In every stitch of the way. I believe if she could, she would start an island of white moms with SUVs with 2 or more kids with a Haitian nanny. I believe she would have a whole resort for it. I do.
Mm.
So San Francisco.
Well, all of that.
Yeah.
And so I see that. Like, I mean, I see her for that.
Yeah.
But I have been enjoying her stepping up in this like fight of what's right.
Mm-hmm.
She's been playing no game.
And
Came in clutch.
taking herself, and
Yeah.
taking herself out of it and not making a joke of it. Because she's very good at making a joke of something where it's so hard to take her serious.
Right.
Because it's like, are we taking you serious? Or are you just saying this because you like? I love her heart line on this. I think it's necessary, especially in the Democratic Party right now. I feel like the stronger the women in the Democratic Party are right now, and the more forceful they are right now, also helps Kamala.
Mm-hmm.
Because Kamala doesn't come off as the HBNIC.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? She just comes off as doing her job and not being this boisterous black bitch, because the other
She's
real bitches
With the crown, yeah.
have been
Right.
shown out. Pelosi, Klobuchar, like
Yeah.
AOC, like they have showed up and are going in on a regular basis. So it makes Kamala almost seem like the calm, consensual, easy to talk to one.
Mm-hmm.
So I have really
Yeah.
been enjoying that step up.
She makes me proud.
Yeah, and I'm the first to
Really
say I have never been a Kamala Harris fan.
Right. Same here.
Never. Like Kamala always reminds me of them AKA girls that I didn't get along with back in the day. On a regular, like that, she reminds me of. She has that HU girl thing. That I'm better than, and she does it so good that you don't even know that it's happening until you walk away. Like, what she snuck you bit? Like you don't even really see it. She's amazing at it.
Yeah.
And so, like, shout out to HU. I'm, I was there for a semester. Like, one thing is amazing. Like, it's a great school. And this is like the year of HU. Chadwick Boseman, Kamala Harris. I'm like, this is like the year of the HBCU. At the end of the day, like this is the best, and Howard needed this kind of come up to a degree after the whole tuition scandal and like all that craziness. So I'm happy for her. I'm still nervous about her being president, if I'm honest about it. And not that she couldn't do the job. I'm concerned that because we don't have enough outspoken women in the Senate and in Congress,
True.
that this will be Obama all over again. And nothing really will get done without a strenuous fight.
Yep.
That's what makes me nervous. That's the only thing that makes me nervous about the situation. I don't think she would be set up for success as president.
Something that has also been made clear to me is that a lot of these like fringe anti-Trumpers in the search for finding a reason not to vote Democratic are now like, well, I mean, Biden's going to die. And so the question isn't, do I want Biden? The question is, do I want Kamala Harris?
Right.
You know, I don't know. And it's like,
Right.
I do know that I would absolutely take Kamala Harris. And if you don't, Kamala Harris wasn't, I mean, like, if Kamala Harris was the right, I mean, if she hadn't run out of money, she wouldn't have left the race. She didn't leave the race because she wasn't popular. She was polling top 5. So, like,
but her fundraising skills aren't great.
So it's like, if she was the candidate, would you vote for her? If the answer is yes, you've got it there in your hand. And if the answer is no, then why? And I doubt you as a person.
No, I doubt you. Oh my God. Well, Stephen, I don't doubt you at all. And so we're going to go to our next segment.
Boys in the Band.
Hey.
So Boys in the Band is a 1968 play. It was turned into a movie in 1970. And both 2 years ago, there was a stage revival for the 50-year anniversary, and then they made it into a movie for the 50th anniversary of the movie as well. It takes place at night. It's a birthday party that's being thrown for Howard. And it's a group of friends. They are gay men and in New York City. And then there is this call-in guest who is mysteriously distraught, seeking out this friend from college, and he crashes the party and chaos ensues. So we watched both versions of the movie, and so I guess the first question is, how much did people know about this show prior to this week? Like, had you seen the first movie? Had you seen the remake? Had you seen, Tabitha, you had said you had seen various stage versions. I personally, I heard of all right, you may laugh. The show is named after a quote from the Judy Garland A Star Is Born because she says, or the Bradley Cooper of the Judy Garland Star Is Born says, you're just playing for yourself and the boys in the band. And that's where the title comes from. I had seen nothing, so I was sitting here thinking it was about some boys in a band. I'm not gonna lie. For a little bit, I was like, and they're in a band though. Like,
Where's the music?
what band were they in?
Like, where's the music?
Yeah. So, let's just go in a circle. Tabitha, like, what was your experience with it before this week?
So I had seen many iterations of the live performance and the stage play. I've seen it with an all Black cast. I've seen it with an all Latino cast. I've seen it with a lot of people switching through different roles. I've actually seen one iteration where halfway through they switched characters and played them in different ways. So I've also been to parties where something like this has happened. And it slowly descends into chaos. So watching the movie, I was extremely excited because of the cast that was being presented, like Zachary Pinto and Matt Bomer. But I was slightly disappointed because I thought this was an opportunity to involve it, and it didn't. Right. But I mean, I think it's also a proper representation because that conversation still continues. And I think it would just be a modern day version to present like in an educational way.
Mm-hmm.
A reference point, I guess.
Right. Damien.
Hey, for me, being that I am a 70s baby, so of course, me knowing about and have seen more than twice, the original band, the boys, boys in the bands, should I say. And so to hear that it was coming on Netflix, so I was excited to see it. And I was, when I saw it and I took it all in, I said, there's some curves and dips here that, no. I mean, I still applaud them. They gave some pretty good performances, but, overall, but I was like, no, it's a few things missing here. So, I have to say, I agree with Tabitha looking for the involvement, if you're going to give it justice for not only the classic, but also for the new part.
Right.
New nuances. So it's like, okay, what, so that wasn't a perfect balance.
Dre, what about you?
Well, so I got to play the role of Bernard before in a tour. And so I was very familiar with the play, very familiar with the 1970s version of it, and got to see the Broadway play, the revival with De Jesus as Emery, as the Latina, and then seeing this. So there were moments of me that I was very, very excited about it because I thought being Black and Latino in New York City, these conversations is still the same conversation. The only difference now is you can't go to jail for being gay, but that was not a conversation really in the room. The conversation is how we deal with each other in relationships and the racial tension that still very, very much exists. So I was a little disappointed that I felt they were afraid of telling the truth that from 1970 to now 2020, there's been no growth.
Right.
That we are still in the same space as gay people when it comes to being bigotous, racist, overly privileged, living a life of fascination and not reality, and unaccepting of other people's truths that aren't your truth. It's still very much a reality. So I was a little disappointed that we have Ryan Murphy really had an opportunity to create a real conversation of change within the LGBTQ community that does not happen in this at all. All it does is kind of say it's okay to still have these behaviors and still be these people.
I agree. So one of the things I too say that I like the 70s version better. For anyone who hasn't seen it, you know, it's this party is filled with, you know, lots of bickering, camping, you know, people really digging into each other. And then as they get drunker and drunker, as it becomes clear that this intruder is a closeted homosexual that is also taking it out on the members of the party, particularly Emery, who is the most traditionally effeminate of the group. That Michaels, the host's rage starts to push the party into a more aggressive and aggressive place. And I thought that the 70s version did a good job with the pace. I thought it kept things moving so that, you know, if you're bickering, then, you know, lots of friends joke with one another, they make fun of each other, etc. If it's moving and everything looks like it's brushing off, then you can understand that people are still friends. I thought that that the 2020 version slowed it down too much, and you saw too many points like land where it was like, oh, I think it's a little bit too much like they're hurting each other. The rhythm was not there for me.
It wouldn't be there only because the difference between the two is, which Damien will understand this, and Tabitha definitely will understand this.
Mm-hmm.
There is the difference between the sophisticated gay and the gays. They're two different entities. And so in the 1970s version, so the key factor of anytime you read a person, reads are not done in a very quick, fast pace. It's like reading someone is like stabbing them or shanking them.
Mm-hmm.
It is not an articulation of slow dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Ever. Like literally ever. It's not. It's meant to be as quick as a slap on the face or a cut into your skin. And the sophistication of the new gays in this in the 2020 version of it was trying to create this masterclass of acting that went really bad.
Right.
Compared to the 1970s version was done in gay speak. Like
right.
And it reads. Like, it reads. And I also think that something that the 70s version did better than the 2020 version in a way that I thought was subtle was that I think it gave gay people more strength, because Emery was attacked way more viciously by Alan, I think is the name. There's blood, like all very visible.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And he's right back up. And so the world that is subtly presented is very violent. Is this world of like, and it reminded me like in terms of people who are ready to fight, the gay people that I know are more ready to fight because they are more used to being challenged.
Right.
And so in the 70s, like well, the further back in time you go, it's only getting more so. And so I felt like that was better presented in the 70s version. Like they were all they all seemed very tough.
Well, I agree. And I think in the 70s version, Emery's character in the 70s version compared to the 2020 version is, in the 70s version, Emery is very comfortable in the factor of it's inevitable. He was Finn. And no matter what he did, he was never not going to be masculine enough. In the 2020 version, it was a caricature of being Finn. It wasn't the reality of Finn in the sense of, because there were certain nuances of how Finn boys say things, even to the point where in the 70s version, when Emery makes the dig at Alan about his wife having lockjaw, it's done in such a matter-of-fact, pass the plate way, where in the 2020 version, it was done as assault. It was like, you saw he was finna get punched in the mouth because I would have punched him in the mouth. Like, Emery character is one of those people that Emery does not have. Like, Emery is the character of Emery has no filter. And having no filter means that you are surprised about what you say as much as everybody else is surprised at what you say. Which in the 70s version, you really get that. Everything seemed very deliberate in the 2020 version, which also made me a little upset about the factor of, so Emery's character did not need to be Latino.
Right. So for anyone who's not seen it, traditionally, well, not traditionally, but in the 70s version, in the original cast, Emery is played by a white person. In this movie, he was played by Robin Jesus, a Latino, and he uses with the black character Bernard a lot of racially charged language, and there is a question throughout, particularly the 70s version, like, whoa, like, why is this an acceptable part of the dynamic? In a way that I felt like the 2020 version presented something that was, I do agree with the article that you sent, Dre, that like it's less as it's like less assaulting to see him say it.
Well,
that language.
Yeah, I think the problem was, which, like I was telling Damien, what upset me about it was that in trying to defend it, about the Latinx, and it was just about the factor of, well, I am Latino and I'm black, and so what I know is, and I've done the play, so it's like I've been Bernard as the black, and in the play, Bernard is the black and the Latino. Bernard is the entertainment, and he's the maid. And so in this, you get to see the Latina playing the maid, and Bernard being the sellout that degrades himself and is not good enough, but I'm doing whatever I have to do to be friends with the white people, and I'm gonna take it from the white people. But the real conversation kind of happened in the 2020 version that does not happen in the real version because there's not a Latino person. And it's that when Bernard goes, I allowed him to do that because I've had it better than him, is a problem in the Black and Latino community in general. So Latinos get the opportunity to be white and embrace being Spanish. When you are Black, you are Black. When you are Black in Spanish, you are Black. Like, I am Black in Spanish, but I am Black. I don't get the opportunity to be like, well, I'm Latino and only identify as Latino. I'm Black. I'm reminded on a regular basis, no matter if I'm Puerto Rico, if I'm in New York City, if I'm in Brooklyn, I am Black. I am negra. Point blank
Right.
period. No either point. You don't get that option. You get options when you are a fair-skinned Latino. And Robin de Jesus could do that. But Emery's role, but his character, he could have been Larry. He could have been Sam.
Right.
He could have been Alan. The Latino could have been Alan. Like, it did not have to be the characters that we see as weak.
Right.
And in white culture, being Black and being Hispanic, you are weak. You are exotic. You are entertainment, or you are the help. You're
Right.
not equal. And what that did was paint this picture of what is now. We are still not equal.
Right.
It's still not okay. And Black and Latino people have this fight all the time.
Mhm.
Black people do not like when Hispanic people use the word nigger at all. They use it all the time. But let a Black person call that to a Spanish person, it is no different than a white person saying it to a Black person. The same fight happens. And so to be a Caucasian and say that adding Robin de Jesus into the mix balances out the racism was some bullshit. Because you can't be white and talk about racism between two races that you're not part of either race.
Right.
Because we don't talk about that there is real racism between Latinos and Black people within their own culture, just by skin color. Like, racism is a global issue. It is not just an American white issue.
Right.
Right.
And so it becomes a larger problem when in gay society, it is 100% fine to be, if you are Latino and you are fair skinned, you have a better opportunity in having a successful gay relationship because you're Caucasian acceptable than you do if you are African American.
Right.
Or if you are Black, if you're Hispanic, Afro-Hispanic. Like, your worlds are so vastly different. Your entrances to worlds is so vastly different. Like that. And this was an opportunity in Boys in the Band to address a problem that we have. And we know that this is a big problem. And Ryan Murphy even more knows it's a problem because he is the main producer for a show that talks about this problem.
Right.
You can't be part of Pose and think that this transgender issue is more than just body parts. It's also color. And it's a big problem.
And also religion, because it hits on that as well.
Yeah,
Very
it's
much
a
so.
big problem.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so, I wanted to love it just because there were so many actors in it that I adore.
Right.
But if as you know, as you say, keep it or lose it.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to lose it because I feel like I think this was a gay Republican attempt to say racism doesn't matter. And that's how I walked away from it. Where in the 1970s version, where I should be more offended, I can embrace it because not only did I play Bernard, but I am Bernard. I am the Black friend of white people. I am the stylist that dresses a whole bunch of white people. Like, for some white people, I'm considered the help. For some white people, I'm the entertainment. Like, and I get, even though I get paid well for it, I'm not treated as an equal, even when oftentimes I'm more wealthy or more established than them. Like it kind of goes back to where you can't get away from white privilege. White privilege does not have a gender. It does not have a gender specification.
Mm-hmm.
It just is. And it's like, even to the point where there's this part in it where when they do the phone calls, and in the 2020 version, Bernard's vernacular of his voice changes to this like Southern slave. That does not happen in the 1970s version at all.
Right.
Right.
Like there was this diminishing. There was like somehow some note of, I need you to diminish you and make yourself less and make these white people that you're talking to superior because your mother was the maid.
That was one of the parts in that movie that bothered me.
It was so hurtful.
I mean, especially when he did that little part where, tell this here Southern and this nigger. I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. It just.
But what made it worse for me was the factor of, so back in the day, in the 1970s, to be a librarian and Black,
right,
you were making real money.
Right.
Like you were somebody in the Black community. Like you've arrived. You were in the space of eliteness. So, and anyone in the 70s knows that. So for the direction to diminish yourself from this elite status, part of the reason he had white friends is because he felt elite.
Right.
That they took away and was like, you're still a nobody. And then to allow Michael's character to even worse, because Michael should have got punched in the face in the 2020 version.
Yeah,
because the attacks don't happen like that in the 1970s version.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they don't happen the same. They happen very, very differently in the sense of, it's like Michael kept, first it was the lips, then it was, like it was all of these little bitty jabs that even the coolest, calmest, most collected person would have pulled an Allen on Michael.
Right.
Right.
And it didn't happen. Even in his drunken state. Didn't happen.
Yeah, I also think with Ryan Murphy, and this is where I take issue with him and everything that he does.
I'm with you.
I hate to say it. He gets an opportunity to provide contemporary relevance to these issues. I mean, this was an amazing opportunity to not only commemorate the original, but to also recognize the contemporary issues and aspects of this that would be relevant to audiences. I mean, I think the whole point of him doing it was to bring it to a new audience, right?
Right.
With Netflix. And so he's done it with every single thing he's done lately, with Hollywood, with Ratchet. Like, I feel like he gets to the certain point where he's developing, and then he just kind of checks out and goes on to the next project, and it falls. And it's like that last element that we need to give it that final piece of relevance to make it a solid, cohesive piece of work. And I think he falls short of it every single time. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it is because he has a million projects up and running and he's trying to juggle many hats. I don't know if he gets to a point of vulnerability where he stops himself as a director or a producer and can't cross that threshold for himself, so he doesn't allow his work to do the same. I wish I could have a conversation with him because I feel like he gets to the same point. I mean, even
Every
in
time, I
Hollywood,
agree.
even in Hollywood,
Totally
even
agree.
even in Pose, even when he did the Versace
There's
document, there's like he hits this wall, and it's almost like he feels that's as much as we can take. But we're at the point where we're asking and begging for more, and then he just
Right.
drops it. And then he leaves the characters, the actors, to carry it for him, which is exactly what he did in this film.
Yeah. I
True,
think
true.
it's to a place where it becomes too real, and he has to step away from it.
Well, he needs
I felt
some
about that.
therapy and to
Yeah,
look
because I felt
inward.
about that in New Normal. Like when he did the New Normal, I felt
Mhm.
that way. Certain areas in Pose. I mean, I am very glad that the direction in Pose is really coming from on an African American standpoint.
Right.
But there are so many misses in Pose. Because ballroom and being gay desecrated on the street are two different entities. They're not the same. And I thought they were going to be able to make that really happen, especially when you had Poppy. That
Right.
Poppy was really not part of the ballroom scene for real. Like when it started, he got drugged into the ballroom scene because of Bianca. But
Right.
Poppy was a trisexual Hispanic that sold drugs, which
Right.
is very normal still into this day in New York City. Like it's like, you know, it don't matter who sucked your dick as long as it got sucked. Like it's one of those. He had that character flow, and it worked.
Mhm.
But even his relationship with Angel had no personal diversities that should have, that aren't talked about at all. It's an imaginary, like, I'm all right with this situation. Like Bianca, when they go and have the girls' trip and she meets the hot lifeguard, and the lifeguard knows, but there's no conflict. There's no everything is so fairy tale, and that isn't real, especially in that day and time. That's
Mhm.
not real. Those kind of love stories didn't like just take place. There's no question of this dude's masculinity and what, like, you know what I'm saying, what happened. Bianca feels she's clockable. So if
Right.
the girl thinks she clockable, dude clocked her.
Right.
But he bails out. He did this in New Normal. He did this in this as well. In Ratchet, I think I was very. What I love about Ratchet is it's the first time I have truly fallen in love with a black character in any of his things. But the reason I fell in love with it was because she's not a black character. She's literally a schizophrenic woman that happens to be black.
Mhm.
That takes on the range of
She worked it.
the
Oh
last
my God, yeah.
Oh,
she sees.
she worked it.
And I say, if she does not get
She embodied it. I was like, yeah.
We lost you, Dre.
Dre?
We lost you.
Right.
Sophie, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay,
Now
we
we
hear
can
you.
Okay, if Sophie does not
get
get
an Emmy.
Yes.
a Golden
Yes.
Globe,
Yes.
Yes.
she like when this is some of the best work she's ever done. But she is a masterclass in character acting because she streamlines through each character, and watching it, she differentiates them so well in such
Yes.
a split
Such great
second of time.
detail.
Yeah.
You're just kind of like I'm like whoa, oh my god,
Yeah.
like
I mean, if you're doing such and I channel and I feel you, and you have me talking about yes to the big screen, yeah, okay, yeah, you're doing something. And I mean, when that black beautiful queen pursued it, I mean, embodied every shift and every turn, every nuance. I'm like, oh.
But I think that was her and not Ryan Murphy.
no, but that's
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
yeah.
It,
That's the point.
Yeah.
it was
That's
her.
the point, most definitely.
Oh,
Because
Yeah.
I mean, like that's
Steven.
why I said she totally embodied it.
Okay, wait,
Courtney,
Steven's trying to say
rein
something.
this back in.
Steven's trying to say something.
Now, in terms of the 2020 version of Boys in the Band, thank you for the reminder. The 2020 version, the only thing that I feel like it really decided to do artistically was to make it more of a film as opposed to the filmed version of a play. The one thing that I will say that I think it did that I thought was a little bit nicer was they did a little bit more with cutting to make it feel like time was passing as opposed to it all taking place so sort of over 2 hours. But it also did more with cutting away during the film to like when they were telling stories about the person that they had loved, cutting away to the stories at the end, added a montage about the different people going home, the Michael character going to mass. My question is, do y'all feel like that helped the movie?
I think it justified the movie because in the 1970s they were unable to show homosexual activity
right
of any sort.
Right.
It would have never made it to even be seen.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in embodying the originality of the story, it was before. I mean, we all knew that
Right.
Sam and Larry went upstairs to get it on.
Right.
But it was a whole different situation to actually and to see them in a love making factor, because that's something you don't ever get to see in homosexuality.
Mm-hmm.
Homosexuality is either porn oriented, rape oriented. It's always something very grotesque. It's never anything caring and loving at all. So I think it was important to see those pieces.
Right.
I thought it was really important to see that Bernard and Emery had a connection that the other ones did not have.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You see it in the 1970s version.
Mm-hmm.
Because what Emery is a caretaker, a nurturer. Emery is a lover of all things. And Emery allows Bernard to say whatever because he loves Bernard.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was kind of great to see Bernard and Emery in the coffee shop and him trying to get Bernard to sober up, and them actually, there was a moment, and it was quick and brief, but you forgot that they were friends and you thought they were partners. Just of how they nurtured each other in that moment. Michael's character, the 1970s version, the ending was so more powerful.
Yes.
Where
Yeah.
Jim
Very
Parsons, I love Sheldon, I do, but it's what we were talking about before the show,
Exactly. Yeah.
pre-show, we were talking about where I was feeling like I did not think he should have been Michael at all.
Mm.
I kind of probably would have enjoyed him more as Larry, only because it would have been unexpected
Yeah.
in the sense of, so Larry's character is, is promiscuous, but Larry's character isn't promiscuous because he really wants to be promiscuous. It's his identifying of love.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think Jim Parsons' character would have been, I would enjoy him better than Larry in the sense of would have been unexpected. It would have been unexpected for someone that looks like him, that is not what you say the gay beauty, to
Right.
be with this masculine man that's in love with him and doing everything he can to fuck it up. Like everything he can to muck it up with
Literally.
someone that has left their life for them.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
what more says love than I'm going to leave the sanctity and safety of my life in the 1970s, which was a big deal because
Right.
jail, beat up, and death.
Mhm.
That I'm going to leave my wife and children for you and be with you. I think it would have been a more interesting watch together. I mean, I love the fact that they are a real couple in real life in the 2020 version. Like they're an actual real couple in real life. So that factor I thought was great, but I would have loved to see some differences.
Mhm.
Especially when the breakdown happens, because like the most classic line is, if we can only learn to stop hurting ourselves,
Mhm.
was not believable in the 2020 version, but it shakes your core in the 1970s version.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, literally.
I also think that my comment earlier about the pacing and the not pretense, but like in the 70s version, it's all sort of like off the cuff. It's moving, it's clipping. It's not like taking seconds to land that someone was attacked. It also allows the viewer to be less concerned until the end.
Mhm.
When he's then having this like anxiety attack about how real it is. I also thought that Harold's leaving and his like moment to I'm spacing on the name.
Which with the cowboy?
Just Jim Parsons' name.
Michael.
Michael.
His moment to Michael, like, call you tomorrow. I thought it was more tender in the night. It was the only moment that I thought was more tender in the 1970s version than it was in the 2020 version.
Yeah, I
Well,
agree.
Yeah,
It was.
It was.
Well, because that's what they do.
Mhm.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Michael, I mean, I even have friends this way, which is really funny. So, like, me and one of my best friends, Marvin, we have the Michael and Harold friendship.
Mm.
We're the only two people that can check each other and really check each other, like, to the core. And does not matter when that checking happens. The checking can happen amongst a bunch of people, or it can happen on the phone in a private conversation. Does not matter. Like, the only person in the world that can call me a whore, and I'm like, what? And I'm not offended. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's one of those type situations. And but there were like key points that happened that from the 1970s version. There are lines that are what you say called classic gay culture, and so when Harold says, so it's a cue as well as it is a read.
Mm.
So in the 1970s version, when he says turning, Michael has now, gone half into the bottle,
Right.
and it gives him permission to be just messy drunk.
Mhm.
But see the progression of his drunk goes from being kind of timid, and then his anger and the factor of the guy that he loves, which comes to the apartment every weekend to hang out with him, is who he's in love with, has been had by Larry.
Right.
Mhm.
And he didn't introduce him to Larry the whole night. Like, it's like all these things start piling up, and so the game becomes the explosion. It doesn't happen like that in the 2020 version. It's kind of a line that doesn't make sense
Mm.
when he goes turning. Even when he reads him about, the pills are paid for. This is paid for. I'm even saying it too fast right now
Right.
than they did in the 2020 version, because it's the read that keeps reading. And it failed miserably in the 2020 version.
Yeah.
It was so trying to be this like sophisticated,
Right.
I'm going
Was
to
natural.
read you gay, and it wasn't this off the cuff, like there was no flamboyancy to the Harold in 2020, where in the 70s version, Harold was the bees. He was the bees
Yes.
biz.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Because Harold was all the things that you want to be gay. He
Right.
was wealthy. He was Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
He was tall, stylish. He was the gay all of them want to be, because everyone had a term of endearment for Harold.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like Harold was the example of being the best gay, and was the den mother, actually. And Michael wanted the attention, but as Mike, even the read that he gives him, he was like, so it's my turn. And that was the most painful drag out. So you don't want to be gay, but you are. You're never going to get over it. It was painful because it was hurtful, but not in the 1970s way, where it was more of, I've said this before, so I need to say this again.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? It was like, I'm saying this in as much love as I possibly can
Right.
in this moment.
Like,
Right.
stop doing this to yourself.
It
Stop
does
Right.
not happen in the
I
20s.
love
Yeah.
you, but I got to dig in
Right.
that ass. You're right. Exactly.
In the 2020 version, it was meant to, like, I was like, well, are they going to change the ending? Because Michael finna jump. Like
You see, the difference with the difference with Harold in the 1970s, the reason why he was able to take his time, because he was affirmed in himself. So he
Right.
knew who he was and what he represented, and it was just like, yeah, this is what it is. And so that's why in the 1970s version, why to me that's just a classic, one of the classics. So he took his time with it, and every nuance, every shift, every time that he came with the read, it was like, let me drop this right quick, and he took his time and da da da. You know, wherefore in the 2020 is all.
Mhm.
I'm like, stop running from it.
Now,
Ryan
what I did love about the 2020 version, I love text
Okay.
much better in the 2020 version than the 70s version.
Yeah.
Only because text was in the 70s version, text was, I get what we consider the hunky, gay, like hustler.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Where in the 2020 version, he was the today's hustler,
Mm-hmm.
not the 70s hustler. He
Right.
was the twink. Like he was the young, kind of young and dumb.
Little jock, yeah, you know.
Understood they were like, and what I loved more than anything was that Tex had the best read in the 2020 version that doesn't happen in the 70s version. Where when he says, well, what do you do for $20? He was like, I do my best.
Right.
Which was the read of all reads.
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen in the 70s version.
Right.
The 70s version.
Yeah, Dre. What happened, Dre? Yo, Dre.
We
Yo,
froze.
We'll
Yeah.
never know. We'll never know.
Yeah, I tell you.
We just have
Yeah.
to let it emanate on our
Hey,
soul.
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
All right, you're back with us.
Are you
I'm back. Oh my
back?
God. I was like, what happened? I felt like I got looped into the title zone and I was like, no, Ryan Murphy, no.
Yeah, Ryan Murphy hit the button on you.
Right.
Right.
Right. He was like, time to bail. There you go.
Like, I love you, Ryan, and all. Like, I love you, but I'm just gonna say this was probably the first time I walked away so very offended.
Mm.
And I've done the play. I've met the playwright the whole night, and I'm going. I walked away from the 2020 version feeling offended and feeling devalued as a person of color. How often made to feel in LGBTQ plus world, because part of the reason why this even happened, See Love Speaks, the whole nine happened, was because there aren't Black voices that are speaking and Latino voices that are speaking that are LGBTQ plus, that aren't a drug dealer, a stripper, or a drag queen. Where are they?
Mm-hmm.
Where are they talking about real issues? We're part of the political process too. We vote, we pay bills and go to work like just everybody else. We do more than just paint nails and do hair. Like I'm going, and it's like I felt like the opportunity of Ryan Murphy always has the opportunity. He has a better opportunity to break the stereotypes.
Oh, big time. He's got like carte blanche in terms of whatever he wants.
But instead, I feel like he keeps repeating history or trying to change history instead of changing our current situation.
Well, like it was, you know, Tabitha and Stephen stated earlier, it's just like he goes so far, then he is like a pause. I need him to pursue it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, we're all here, as it was stated earlier, we're wanting more. Okay, you're there. You're already here. Go
I'll
there.
put it out there. Ryan Murphy, if you want to come to do City Love Speaks,
right?
We will work with you, player. We are here.
Yeah,
we'll
go the rest
together.
You
How you doing? But I mean, I need him right. I need him to pursue it. I'm like, hey, it's like, okay, you come this close, and then like, oh, never mind. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm gonna pull a Tyra. You know, Ryan, I'm rooting for you. Like
we were all rooting for you, right?
We're all rooting for you.
We're all rooting for you.
I watched everything. Like I literally, as soon as it comes up and I see his name on it, I watch it.
Yeah,
and then I'm with you, and then I just feel
let down.
Yeah. So I'm rooting for you, Ryan. Come on, man.
Come on. Come
Yeah.
on.
The trauma. We can get through it. We can get past that
Right.
hole.
Together. We can do it
Right.
together.
We got that snapback. It's
Yeah.
all good. Mm-hmm.
Like,
He needs a black woman in his life. That's all I have.
Well, he has so
That's what
many.
it is. That's what it is. That's
the
what
problem
it is.
is he has so many black women in his
But
life.
he needs to have those conversations.
I feel like
Mhm.
he needs to have some black male gay friends. I am more than willing to be his friend. I will check you in, Ryan. I'm here for that. I mean, because the majority of the black people that he loves and adores and around him are super feminine, drag queens, or boisterous black women. They're who he loves.
Yeah, but he doesn't always treat us right.
Well, I agree.
Right.
But I think he feels like he probably made up for that with Nene.
No.
He really gave Nene Leakes a whole bunch of career that Nene Leakes would have never had without him. She would have never been an actress without him. Never.
Oh,
She made him coach Roz. Then she put him on. She was Coach Roz. Then she went to New Normal. New Normal didn't get picked up again. He put her back on Glee to take over Sue Sylvester as Coach Roz again. Ryan Murphy really believed in Nene Leakes in sense of taking her out of the reality narrative. And so I'm going, which opened her eyes to her real power that she had with Bravo, which I loved. Because it's a whole situation when you find out that everybody that's watching you and following you on Bravo has now gone to NBC. Because they're like, well, you're over there, we're over here too. Showed her, oh, well, I don't need to. I can. And she started pulling back and not being so vicious and not being so. Like her petty started to mean something. It just wasn't petty just to be petty.
Mm-hmm.
Even on Atlanta Housewives. And like even her leaving them now. I love her for calling Andy Cohen out as a racist. I've been
Don't get me started. Do not even get me started on Andy Cohen.
I've been saying it forever because I'm like, because he loves a little chocolate in his sheets, but he won't commit to it.
Oh.
I have receipts. That's all I'm gonna say.
Hey, come on,
Yes,
come on.
I've got receipts too, bro.
Come on, just come on with it. Let's
make
pull
it
out at least
rain.
two. Give us two.
I am an unknowing audience member to this, so
our unknowing heterosexual male. Okay.
I've witnessed a thing or two.
Oh really? Uh-huh. Yes.
LeBain, New York City. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, right.
Oh.
And what I know is, and my thing is, and you know, I was not mad at her for calling him out about it.
No.
At all. I was not. Because I feel like it was necessary. And glad she was in a space that she could say it out loud. I was more pissed that Wendy Williams tried to make less of it. Which I'm like, I got receipts on Wendy, and that I can't.
Oh man, I mean,
I was like, I can't with Wilbert.
Camelback.
Wilbert Williams wears me out. Wears me all the way out. I can't with Wilbert.
Oh my God.
It's just, it's always just too much of unnecessary. Where sadly, I'm probably one of the few people in the world that was not mad when all her business came out about her husband and having an affair and the cars that her money bought and everything else. I was not mad about that at all. Because I'm like, could it have been done classier on his end? Yes. But I'm like, the mess that she has taken him through.
I'm just sipping.
He earned that happiness.
Okay.
I'm gonna pull me a little more. I'm just saying he earned that happiness. And I wasn't mad at. Wait, I was not mad at him for holding the mistress's hand and walking her to the car that Wendy paid for. I was not mad about it. I was like, well, Wilbert, you wanted to be a gay? Welcome.
Welcome and welcome again. Mhm.
Welcome.
All righty.
Welcome to the heart shit. Welcome.
Dropping gems, dropping gems.
Just
Right.
let them fall. Let them fall. I said, let them fall. Let them
Yeah.
fall. Because I'm like, I cannot with the people.
Human.
So,
Steven's
I'm-
like, I'm lost.
Look,
so
I
long.
know a little bit about her. She says, "How you doing?" That's about what I know.
You doing?
I don't know.
And thank
much
God that's all you know. Hate to say. Like, because
Yeah.
you're not.
That's all I
Other
know.
than that, like I gave a couple names that I said, Camelback, Tall Horse. I don't know what it's just like with hair. How?
Right. Because I'm like, girl. I'm
I
not
guess a
gonna do it.
hard no for me. No. Mm-mm.
Anyway,
Anyway,
I was like,
moving on.
So,
The shade of it all.
I know.
so
it's
right.
just
I was like,
darker
and
in here.
so, and
Right.
this takes wait, the best time because I'm going, so since we here already, and I'm like, we here, and I'm just gonna be like,
Boom.
Wilberts and whatever the whole Negro Please. So let's go to Negro Please War.
Hey.
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
The Negro Please Award this week for her fourth.
1, 2, 3, 4. Boom.
She has more awards than Susan Lucci in this moment.
No, you didn't.
Candace
Jazz hands.
is getting the Negro Please Award this week.
I'm sorry. Who,
Candace Owens personally raised money and paid for out of her pocket for people to attend Trump's latest rally.
Yep.
She
now that's a
paid
damn.
for them to go to COVID Palooza. Now, the people she paid for
Good.
that received it were Caucasian. So I did not know if she deserved the award because she sent them to COVID Palooza or
Right.
because secretly she's an undercover agent of trying to get rid of the racists, or I just don't know. Like
Now, we've learned with Kanye, it's
A little bit too mind-boggling
it's not
there.
fake,
Yeah.
it's real.
I don't know.
Just,
I'm like,
Oh,
I was like, oh, Candace.
travesty.
I was like, and so I just don't know. So right now, Candace is in the head.
I saw that and I was like, really? Are we really? We're really doing this, huh? This is what we're doing, huh?
That's what
Oh,
we're
yeah.
doing.
yeah.
In this moment, in this time, doing all of this, this is what we're doing.
And so she is only like not gonna say, like I was like, she was neck and neck with Daniel Cameron.
Yeah.
They both have 3, and then and I thought Daniel Cameron was gonna get it this week
Yeah.
because he hired a private security firm that he's making the city of Louisville pay for because he feels unsafe.
He should.
And should, because he wrote a motion to try to supersede having to release the testimonies for the grand jury, meaning you botched the case, player. Is what it means. It means you botched the case. And so, and you're trying to hold out until after November, trying to drag this out. I thought he was going. I was like, Daniel Cameron is gonna be the winner. Like he means to be the Negro Please Award MVP. He
The
means,
coon that he
Mhm.
is. That's exactly what he means to be.
you
Yep.
know. And then Tim Scott, you know, Tim
Woo.
Scott comes out in his tap dance Bojangles.
Whoa, whoa. Did you have to say it that way? You could have warned us before you said that name, please.
I'm just
Wasn't
saying,
ready.
I wasn't. I was not. Mm-mm.
like he makes you forget about Leroy showing up.
That part.
See, because Tim Scott is a tap dancing, Bojangles loving, like
What in the world, man? I see.
because I'm
like,
like when he
right,
got
right.
when he got the ESPN host fired for calling him Uncle Tom, I was like, wow, you get fired for that? Because
God.
Blanche, you are, Blanche, you are.
Right, you is, gal, you is. Cause I'm like, sir, I need you to stop. Please.
Stop.
Just stop. That's all. That's all.
And what I don't
Yeah.
understand is I don't get what he gains from it because I'm going every time he is on the stage with influential Republicans, they full out diss him. They don't shake
They
his hand.
ignore
They
him.
overlook him. They like.
Oh
I'm like,
God.
I don't understand why
Such a horrible way they
Why?
ignore him.
infection, player. I don't understand. But Candace Owens living in her White House with her white husband,
Mhm.
she is just on a roll.
Doing squirrel. Lord.
So this is her fourth Negro Please Award.
She good for it. She good for it.
And I'm
Mhm.
just like, I just don't
I can't.
know.
I checked it out. I can't. I researched it and I can't.
I can't.
I just can't. I looked it up and I
Because
can't.
I'm not gonna lie.
Can't. You just can't.
I thought the Negro Please Award this week was going to go to Kamala Harris because I did not think she was going to make it. And this is why. I did not think she was going to make it all the way through the debate without cussing Pence out. Because she kept saying, I'm speaking one too many times that I was like, she finna lose it, and she finna lose it. And we're
I
going to
would
have
have
to give
given
her
her
a
an
Please
award
Award.
just for that. Like, not the Negro Please Award, but like an award.
Award. Oh, yeah. Well, I feel she should get the Shade of the Year
God.
award.
Oh, yeah.
Because no one has given better shade
Oh,
this in 2020 than
yes.
Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris,
Mhm.
AKA Mamala. She
she is
gave
giving
it
better
all.
shade than
I was
than
like,
any
yes,
black queen
Mom.
in America right now. Like,
Right.
she gives better shade than Monet Exchange, and
She
that's a
gives that
shade girl.
banana leaf shade. Mhm.
Like, just full on
Mm-mm-mm.
palm
Talk
leaves
about
steamed
an epic
salmon
side
shade.
eye. Just like, I'm like, yes, read. Right. That right there.
And then
Yeah.
feminist icon Megyn Kelly goes online to say, take it like a woman, no faces, please. Like, because we were all made to love Megyn Kelly. Don't we recall that Bombshell? She's a hero. She's a
Yeah,
hero for women, right?
Oh. Who's her? I don't feature her, whoever she is.
No,
No.
I can't with Megyn Kelly in just general.
Mm-mm-mm.
Like, literally
I-
just in general. I cannot with her.
I really can't.
I
Yeah.
just can't with her. Like, really
Yeah.
can't with her. But I am going to say the joy in my heart of listening to Joy Reid talk about Kamala Harris after it was over,
Mm.
because there is something spectacular about when we win. And there was no denying that she slaughtered Pence. But it was a whole situation for her to be sitting on a panel with a diehard Republican and the ultimate lesbian Democrat and say, yeah, But us black girls, like it was just like, no matter what, like y'all gonna have to let me have all of this segment because yeah, have a seat. It was for real. Yes, it was a pride that we have not seen since Obama won first election. So I'm gonna say.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There was that this very pride of being of the Negro persuasion. It was brilliant.
I think he's up. Yes.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, guys, like, want to remind everybody tonight you have 2 hours. If you are in New Jersey, Louisiana, West Virginia, to register online to vote in this election.
I voted today.
Yeah.
Go to vote.org. I'm like,
Vote.
please, like, my thing is, we need everyone to vote. Like, vote. Like, we have to vote. Especially after these whole these hearings that have been going on with Amy Barrett, and I'm like, vote up the ticket, people. Vote up the ticket.
Right.
It is important. It is vital. Go to vote.org for you to find out if you are registered to vote. If you aren't registered to vote in certain cities, you still have time to vote in October 13th. So the election is on November 3rd. Am I right?
Yes. 21 days.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we will be with you during the results, which is going to be
a mirage.
Either a party or oh my god, I just don't know.
It will not be. It will be to be continued, no matter what.
Right. I'm just saying. All I know for right now, all I know is there will be sweet potato pie at my house.
Right.
Oh, there will be all types of ice cream.
To either celebrate or console. Like,
Right.
like I'm hoping to celebrate.
Yeah.
Right. Scotch.
Yes.
What's that?
It will definitely be a Douce.
Right. Yeah. Douce.
Champagne night. Definitely, without doubt.
Yes and yes.
I'm like, I excited and nervous. I'm just glad I'll be watching it with you guys. That will be the best part. Is the fact of
right.
It will not feel like I was 4 years ago.
Yeah, geez.
Where I was by myself because I really kind of thought it was a wrap and it was like, oh, we got this, whatever. And I went to bed. I didn't even I went to bed. Like, I woke up to Orangina ruining the country. You know what I'm just saying? Like, it was, So I'm really excited about our democracy at work. This is going to be real. So I'm really excited. I'm glad I got going on this journey with you guys as well. Thank you for joining us. So thank you for joining us at City Love Speaks. As I say every week, if you don't love yourself, don't expect nobody else to love you either. So have a great night and a great rest of the week, and we will see you guys next Tuesday. Stay tuned for more shows that are coming up on Mahogany Steel Productions for City Love Speaks, on City Love Speaks at YouTube. If you're not subscribing, subscribe. We have a lot of great things coming on because we have a new show that's going to be on our Instagram page from November through December called Ratchet, Blessed, and Grateful. It's going to be really interesting. That's what I can say. So stay tuned for more information that's coming up to those things. Make sure you're following us on City Love Speaks on all social media platforms. Have a great week, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.